On Saturday night, Mr. Greco wrote to all Montfort Knights and our families with the news that Elizabeth Rice, Joshua Warren, Mariah Lemon, Sarah Peppa, Jillian Rooney, Nia Halley, Kaylin Darby, Samantha Reyes, and I, all members of Montfort's speech team, competed at the New York Catholic Forensic League speech meet at Fordham Prep. Mr. Greco also shared with you the happy news that junior Elizabeth Rice finished second place overall in original oratory, and freshman Mariah Lemon finished second place out of 33 in declamation. Declamation is when you recite or even sing a speech, similar to exclamation or proclamation. Mariah's winning speech and delivery were so impressive that Mr. Greco asked her to deliver it here today. Ladies and gentlemen, Montfort Knights, here is freshman Montfort Knight Mariah Lemon to deliver Maya Angelou's eulogy of Coretta Scott King.
Good afternoon, Montfort Knights and administration. Before I continue with this address, I would like to thank Mr. Greco for giving me the honor and opportunity to speak about two women that I admire. For those of you who might not know me, my name is Mariah Lemon, and I am a freshman. I am here today to present the eulogy of Coretta Scott King, written by Maya Angelou. Before I get into that, allow me to give you some background information about the both of them. These two women were civil rights activists. They touched the hearts of many people, one through poetry and the other through leading. Coretta Scott King was married to Martin Luther King and was a civil rights activist. She inspires me because not only did she stick by her husband through difficult times, but she also stood up for what she believed in and did not back down, even after his assassination. Maya Angelou was a poet who wrote powerful poems such as And Still I Rise and Phenomenal Woman. She inspires me because of the way she would word her poems and how she was not afraid to speak her beliefs through her poems. When Coretta Scott King passed away, Maya Angelou was invited to give a eulogy at the funeral. The reasons I decided to choose the eulogy for declamation were, first, it involved two women that I strongly admire. Second, Angelou worded every piece of that eulogy beautifully. And the third reason was she took the moment to not only remember Coretta Scott King, but to also inspire people and use her as a prime example of how we all should be. Now, may I present to you Maya Angelou's 2006 eulogy of Coretta Scott King. I opened my mouth to the Lord and I won't turn back, no. I will go, I shall go. I'll see what the end is gonna be. In the midst of national tumult, in the medium of international violent uproar, Coretta Scott King's face remained a study in serenity. In times of interior violent storms, she sat, her hands resting in her lap, calmly, like good children sleeping. Her passion was never spent in public display. She offered her industries and her energies to action toward righting ancient and current wrongs in this world. She believed religiously in nonviolent protests. She believed it can heal a nation mired in a history of slavery and all its excesses. She believed nonviolent protests religiously could lift up a nation rife with racial prejudices and racial bias. She was a quintessential African-American woman, born in a small town, repressive South, born of flesh and destined to become iron, born a cornflower and destined to become a steel magnolia. She loved her church fervently. She loved and adored her husband and her children. She cherished her race. She cherished women. She cared for the conditions of human beings, of Native Americans and Latinos and Asian Americans. She cared for gay and straight people. She was concerned for the struggles in Ireland and she prayed nightly for Palestine and equally for Israel. Now I speak as a sister of a sister. Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated on my birthday, and for over 30 years, Coretta Scott King and I have telephoned, or sent cards to each other, or flowers to each other, or have met each other somewhere in the world. We call ourselves Chosen Sisters, and when we travel to South Africa or to the Caribbean, or when she came to visit me in North Carolina or New York, we sat late into the evening hours calling each other, girl. It's a Black woman thing, you know? And even as we reached well into our 7th decade, we still said, girl. I stand here today for her family, which is my family, and for my family and all the other families in the world who would want to be here but could not be here. I have beside me up here millions of people who are living and standing straight and erect, and knowing something about dignity without being cold and aloof, knowing something about being contained without being unapproachable. People who have learned something from Coretta Scott King. I stand here for Eleanor Traylor and for Harry Belafonte, and I stand here for Winnie Mandela. I stand here for the women and men who loved her, Dinky Romilly. On those late nights when Coretta and I would talk, I would make her laugh. And she said Martin King used to tell her, "You don't laugh enough." And there's a recent book out about sisters in which she spoke about her blood sister. But at the end of her essay, she said, I did have a chosen sister, Maya Angelou, who makes me laugh even when I don't want to. And it's true, I told her some jokes for only no mixed company. Many times on those late after evenings, she would say to me, "Sister, it shouldn't be an either or, should it? Peace and justice should belong to all people, everywhere, all the time. Isn't that right?" I said then, and I say now, Coretta Scott King, you're absolutely right. I do believe that peace and justice should belong to all people, everywhere, all the time. And those of us who gather here today, principalities, presidents, senators, those of us who run great companies, those of us who know something about being parents, who know something about being preachers and teachers, those of us, we owe something from this minute on so that this gathering is not just another footnote on the pages of history. We owe something. I pledge to you, my sister, I will never cease. I mean to say, I want to see a better world. I mean to say, I want to see some peace somewhere. I mean to say, I want to see some honesty, some fair play. I want to see kindness and justice. This is what I want to see. And I want to see it through my eyes and through your eyes. Coretta Scott King. I open my mouth to the Lord and I won't turn back, no. I will go, I shall go. I'll see what the end is gonna be. Thank you.